Well, folks, let me just say up front, my bad. Season 9, Episode 5, Heavy is the Crown. I missed it because I was asleep. I don't know. Maybe that Zatima video wore me out. I mean, it was 45 minutes long. So, side note, if you have not watched the Season 4 trailer breakdown for Zatima, go watch it. It's a lengthy video, but you all have showed up and showed out. It's gotten over 10,000 hits in less than 24 hours. So, go check it out after you watch this video, of course. But the thing was, when I did wake up at midnight, I only had like 5 people hit me up saying, yo, you going live? You going live? So I'm thinking, the episode must have not have been that good. I just finished and it was really good. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Sadly, the only reason I didn't give it a 10 is because of the Sabrina stuff. But that only took up the first like couple of minutes of the episode. So yeah, solid 9 out of 10. I thought it was good. Some people said, oh, you didn't miss much. Oh, it was boring. But yet again, we had a solid episode that had good pacing. The right dash of comedic. Seriously, they have done well. And I'm always nervous to give one of these shows when they just started a season off. The first few episodes have me intrigued. I'm happy. But then somewhere around the mid-season is where they fumble. But let me just say, 5 episodes in, so far so good. The pacing, the character depictions, for the most part, the comedy has been hitting. I'm for it. And the emotions. I want to keep using this phrase for however long it's relevant, but I love that the writers are allowing the characters to feel their feelings. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. Hang on. No. There's a thought I have, but I got to get to that after I cover the Sabrina thing real quick. So, before we go forward in the video, make sure you like and subscribe. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. And let's jump in. So, simply put, Sabrina screeching at Rich to get out of her office. Who would get back with a cheater? Blah, 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 blah. He never cheated because he messed around with Penelopey after you had already broken up with him. That's when Penelopey pops up with Maurice and Paige right behind her. And she wants to explain that nothing's going on between me and Rich. What happened last night or the other night was nothing. And Sabrina just steps to Penelopey and says, get out of her office. And Penelope's like, I tried. Now, I will say this much. I got to give Sabrina props because Penelope looked her over. Yeah, I think she's a bit taller than her. But at the same time, I'm like, Penelope, this ain't going to go the way it did with Andy. Like, if you try to slap Sabrina, I feel like Sabrina about to throw down. So she wisely opted to get out of there saying, well, I tried. Tried what exactly? Like that? No, be quiet. So then Rich just went out after her, and hopefully that is the last we see of these two, especially in anything Sabrina related. We don't need this anymore. Let them go. Let them go. That's it. Okay? They go. And thankfully, that is the only time we see or hear of them in this episode because we have bigger fish to fry. Now, we go over to Andy, and she's still looking over, some of the information she dug up via her own research and, insight from Dr. Vaughn. And when I tell you, my baby's back from the dead, kind of, sort of. Andy is spiraling because she's remembering Jasmine's dialogue regarding, you ruined my marriage. You ruined my life. And I'm like, Jasmine. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Andy, you crying. Okay, whatever. But Jasmine, my baby. But no. Andy was crumbling. And oh, my goodness. I can't believe it. This is some good stuff. Writers, you're doing it. We're actually seeing the characters beginning to crumble under the weight of their, well, let's be real, their decisions and facing the consequences of them. And even after they've gotten out of some hairy situations, they didn't come out unscathed. So you have Andy just going through it, and she's trying to pep herself up. pep herself up, like give herself a pep talk, like, hey, you know what? Hold it together. You got this. You got this. Because, tears are coming out of her, just running down her cheeks. And she's like looking around, and that's why I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't want no office with no glass walls or anything. Like, nah, I need walls. And she holds it together, so she gets back into her case. And it's not looking good because she's actually reading aloud some of the prior patient files about negligent Dr. Cruz and one person being found unresponsive. So it's not looking good. It really isn't. So from there, Andy actually is looking for Fatima. So when she pulls out her phone, she opens Robin's voicemail. On the one hand, I'm like, well, it's about time. But on the other, it's like, wait, you didn't check your voicemail and it's been a few days? Because remember, she took those personal days off in between episodes 3 and 4. I mean, which is realistic. Side note, just throwing it out here. Has anybody else been dealing with spam callers way more? Look, this is not a sponsored ad read or anything. This is just a legitimate real world thing. Has anybody been dealing with spam calls more than usual? Because to me, even if I empty my voicemail, within 36 hours, it's full again by just random bull crap calls. I don't know what's going on with that. So, I mean, on the one hand, maybe Andy disconnected when she was, taking those personal days. But for her to not hear those voicemails for days, I don't know. But yeah, she finally heard it. Robin mentioning how I want to spend my life with you and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Hey, I'm happy he's gone. Look, I said it 80 times. I'll say it 81. I miss Robin as a character, but the way he was treated last season, he is way better off without Andy. That's all I'm saying. But Andy's, perked up after hearing that voicemail. And I don't know what to say about that. I just feel like Robin saved himself and his professional life. So eventually Fatima does show up, and Andy gives her the rundown about everything she found out about Dr. Cruz. It's like, oh, wait, I thought that's confidential. Well, I did some, underhanded tactics. And Fatima's like, yeah, that's my girl right there. So she mentions how, yeah, I'm just trying to, deal with what I'm dealing with. And I love their conversation, not just about, black women dealing with the medical field stuff, the negligence, but the reality of anxiety. Just that's relatable to everybody. So I just love that. I feel like, sometimes shows do this where it's kind of heavy handed on the, well, the statistics are 9 out of 10 people deal with anxiety more than they let on. No, this felt like a natural conversation. It did. But it was just done in such a tasteful way. I didn't feel like I was being preached to. And I got to give kudos to Crystal and KJ for the way they played this scene. And I really enjoyed it. Or I really did. But the one thing about this scene I did not care about, and I know this is nitpicky, but this is just me, is when Andy is telling Fatima about how, oh yeah, I got Robin's voicemail, but it sounds like he's moving on. And then she just goes on this whole spiel about how, he was so good to me, and he was like my knight in shining armor, and this, that, and the third. And Fatima low-key co-signed it. It's like, yeah, he would get Hayden in line, and while he did kind of, side with him on occasion, basically she's still butthurt over Hayden being like her handler while Andy wasn't in the office last season. And Andy's just talking about all this. Is like, and it was so good because with that whole Jordan thing, like him trying to blame me for trying to, take down his sister, whatever that was. And I'm not going to rant, but how I felt about Andy last season, right? And the fact that I didn't care for the Robin and Andy pairing because this woman treated that man like shit the entire season, including the 1-month time jump when she got back at the law firm as partner, and then literally just, stuck her nose up at him, completely disrespectful towards him. And then Fatima wasn't any help either. She was doing the same thing. And now he's gone, and all of a sudden, Oh, I miss it. Like he was a good man, Andrea. Shut up. No. No. Robin, run. Don't walk. Don't come back. Even though I have a theory about him coming back, but that's a whole nother video. But yeah, yet again, she does mention how it's like every time I try to move forward, it's like I fall apart. No, Andy, it's called dealing with the consequences of your actions. You cannot win everything. You can't have your cake and eat it too. I feel bad for what she's going through right now, that PTSD and whatnot. But it's real, and it's low key the consequences of decisions you made a long time ago coming back to haunt you. Messing around with a married man. Just saying. But either way, I love this scene. And Fatima encourages her to get her power back. There you go. There you go. Now, from there, you have Hayden actually taunting Fatima as she was looking over some work files. Just a little bit of comedy there. And she calls Zach to check in on him and ask if he ate anything. And she's like, oh, a donut. No, we're not doing that. I got you a food dash order. And the food is coming over soon. And that's when we go back to Andy's office, and there's actually a call that comes through. There's someone at the front desk sent by Marie Willis, and Andy's working on her current situation. So Fatima was like, oh, don't worry, I'll check it out. So we actually learned that K-Dubs, I believe, is like, you know, his professional name, if you will, because he's an athlete. He's Marie Willis's godson, and she sent him over to have Andy look over some paperwork. And K-Dubs did what I'm sure a majority of the fan base would, and that's, well, be enamored by Fatima's look as soon as she comes around the corner. Well, actually, he thought that was Andy at first, but no. So they sit down and look over some contracts, and let me just say, it was so cool to see Fatima in paralegal mode, which coincides with the Zatima Season 4 trailer, where we see her potentially being Zach's legal representation during his custody battle for Michael. But yeah, she looks over the contracts, and I love how confident she is. Like, yes, Miss Barnes is actually busy on another case right now, but I'll be more than happy to look over things and pass it along to her. So in just a matter of moments and looking over the contract, she instantly finds, well, to be blunt, dude is getting screwed over. I mean, because of the fact, and I love how upfront he is about, like, look, I'm just a ball player. I don't really know much about this stuff, so I just want to make sure I know what I'm getting into before I sign on the dotted line. This contract is very binding, basically saying, like, we own you. Your image, licensing deals, just everything. And if you get into any sort of trouble, you can get cut, and you won't have any money to show for it. And she does mention how that's what these companies are about. And that is so true because, you know, in the midst of Me Too, Time's Up, allegations, it's almost like if you become a hashtag, you are doomed. No evidence, no proof, just someone come on. Shannon Sharp, y'all, just got cut from ESPN. Jonathan Majors lost out on the role of a lifetime with Kang in the MCU. So many examples I could list off right now, but that's how it is. That's really how it is. And thankfully Fatima caught that, because if not, this dude would have been signing his life away. And if, like he said, you know, that's not my image to be squeaky clean and whatnot. It's like, well, bro, hate to tell you, but if you want to be a professional athlete and whatnot, all it takes is one time. One time. If you in the club or something, and let's say some woman, let's just say a white woman, because, you know, white women, their allegations just move mountains in the worst way possible for black men. Some white girl comes up to you, says, hey, you're that player, aren't you? Oh, no, thanks, I'm not interested. Nothing happens. You don't touch her. You don't even look her way after you say, I'm not interested. Next thing you know, this person could get on and post a video or whatever, or just cry, and then next thing you know, that's a wrap for you. Dang, it's crazy. All right, sorry about that. It's like, but that's how good this episode was, because it's moments like this that I don't want to use the word trigger. It sounded the alarms in terms of, oh my gosh, this stuff is happening right now. And this show seems more in tune with what's going on. I feel like this goes back to the Tyler Perry phrase of the pulse of his audience and whatnot. But it's like the writing, him and the other writers know the pulse of the current society we live in, and they're addressing it in the show. Okay, like I said, my bad for gushing like that. I had to elaborate because this episode made me feel, hey, the characters feeling their feelings, and I'm feeling the way I am, and I love it. That's why I get the episode a high score. Now, as you know, they're going through the contract and too many strings. Hayden shows up, fanboying over K-Dubs, being, what was it, like Rookie of the Year or whatever. And it's like one of those low-key, he's trying to steal Fatima's / Andy's potential client, all the while clowning Fatima. Oh, she ain't no lawyer. She's paralegal. It's like going to a restaurant and telling the person that, or saying that the person who fixes the fries is the one who's the chef or something. It's like, nah, man. But that's when Marie comes in and squashes it, rocking some new hair. Must be that Rooster Riches. Ha ha. All right. She just shuts Hayden down quick, fast, and in a hurry and tells him to step. But the thing is, Marie has that look on her face like, I thought I told Andy to look into this. Oh, she's actually busy on something, but I'm looking into this real quick for your godson until I pass it along to her. But I love how K-Dub stepped up and it's like, no. She's doing a great job. She caught a bunch of things and possibly saved me millions of dollars. And Marie's like, okay, well, you know me. I don't like to repeat myself twice, but keep doing good work. So Marie steps out, and that's when K-Dub said, oh, you're going to be a good lawyer someday, Fatima. I see it. And, hey, the way you help me, I mean, shoot. You might have other players lined up because he's going to refer Fatima and this firm to the other players on the team. So I love this. I feel like it's set up for, Fatima. And I love how Fatima's like, okay, well, hey, let me run this by Miss Barnes, and, I'll get back to you. So I just love that. And also, after he leaves, there's a funny moment where Hayden's just peeking around the corner. Fatima's like, what are you doing? No, I just want to see what's going on. Well, get on. Hey, come on. That was pretty cool, right? Yeah, it was. Dang it, I really love this. It's just one of those things where the animosity, you could just tell it was fun because I could just tell that was Chris and Crystal sharing a moment. That was funny. I loved it. Yes. I'm in a good mood, people. This was an episode I wish I would have watched live. So, okay, what to do now? Okay, so we're almost done. Now, let's go over to the airport real quick. Tony is excited. So I was wrong. He was not fired. He was being escorted out of the airport. So he's excited for what's next and thanking Danny because, you inspired me to quit my job and whatnot. And Danny's like looking, he's a bum now. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't have any money. And he's like, hey, let's go to the steam plant for dinner tonight. So he gets escorted out. And they are at the restaurant. He's just eating his fries, just having himself a good old time. Honestly, this is how I felt when I quit my call center job to do YouTube. I'm over here enjoying myself. Well, enjoying the newfound freedom. Yet my parents are like, when are you going to get another job? When are you going to do this? When are you going to be like, So Danny is again just worried about what. So what's your plan, Tony? Okay, let me be careful how I say this because I know the Danny fans will come after me. I am not blaming her for Tony's decision. Tony chose to quit his job. Yes, he may have been inspired by Danny, but Tony was the one who walked into that office and chose to end his employment there. Okay? Tony chose it. Just like Danny chose to knock that coffee in her coworker's face in front of a crowd of people, ending up with her getting terminated. All right? She chose to do that. Now, I do feel like I'm glad Tony addressed the fact that, look, I'm not a bum. Like, he didn't go into details about how much money he has and whatnot, but, he's ready for a fresh start, a new career. And he rightfully called out the fact, like, well, 1 minute you're telling me, quit my job and whatnot, and now all of a sudden you just switching up on me. I just need you to be supportive and be here and now. And I mean, to be fair, that's a solid point. Again, hey, I don't care if you dislike the video or comment, Jeremy saying Tony chose too much. I am saying that because I know somebody in the comments are going to be like, well, Jeremy, Danny didn't make Tony do it. Hey, he chose to quit. But let's not act like earlier this season, she wasn't the one giving him a damn ultimatum. Okay, well, I'm not going to Alaska. I'm not visiting you in Alaska. You have until tomorrow morning to tell me if you're going to stay at your job or if you're going to quit. That was Danny. Now, even though she wasn't the one that went into that office and filed the paperwork for him the same way he did, putting her on the list of that leadership program, she can't act like she didn't push him in this direction. Like I said, he chose to do it, but for her to act like she had no hands on the wheel, come on now. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I like to call it, I think Tony was calling her out for like seesaw mentality. Danny is pretty, going up and down. 1 minute, we're up together. Next thing you know, you let me down. It's almost like Danny is the living embodiment of that meme of when you give somebody advice, but then you end it with, well, I don't know though, just in case things go left. It's like, I feel like at this point, Danny is probably worried about her own money from the settlement. Like, oh, I bet he's going to ask me for money and whatnot. No, he's not. So back at the airport, I think for the first time we actually hear Danny over the flight intercom or the airport intercom, as a plane is unloading or loading or something. And Leonard is just rolling his eyes the whole time like, this dude a damn hater. And she leaves a voicemail for Karen because she's worried about her. And that's when her cousin Brock comes in, who just got out of jail. And apparently he found out about her big settlement and wants some money to kind of get him on his feet. She reaches into her bra and gives him $20. Hasn't called his mom or nothing, but goes directly to the cousin. Yeah, that's why I didn't tell no family when I won the lottery a couple, 2 or 3 years ago. I'm like, nah, it wasn't. I knew. It's like people come out of the woodworks, bump that. So, he seems like a fun new character. I don't think this is a one-off. I have no doubt in my mind he's going to be knocking on Danny's front door in an episode or two. So, I did love how they collectively clowned on Leonard when he comes over. Like, oh, there you go, Miss King acting unprofessional on the job, and they just go in on him for being the office nerd. And I'm just like, wow, that was something else. So from there, okay, yeah, we're almost done. Everything else to talk about is related to Zach, Aaron, and Karen. So Aaron is worried about Karen, and Miss Lisa mentions how she's shutting off from everyone. And, Aaron's just hoping that she gets better, for the sake of their child. And I love how Aaron even has a moment. It's like, yeah, I know I'm not trying to undermine how she's feeling and whatnot, but, I'm going through a lot to, it's never mind. And I love how Miss Lisa is just like reassuring, like, hey, don't act like, what you're feeling needs to be neglected. You're going through it too. I mean, that baby being lost impacted you as well. Sure, it wasn't your biological child, but you all had y'all's heart set on 2 babies, and now look at the situation. So I just love the fact that someone took a moment to address Aaron's feelings as well. So they look around and notice how there's a lack of groceries, and Aaron says that he'll go, and it's like, you know what, I'll go to the store, you stay here with our girls, all right? So I thought that was good. And Pam actually calls Aaron to check in with Karen, and she's doing her thing at the salon. It's one of those passive conversations where she's trying to talk to Aaron, but there's a bunch of stuff going on in the background. So at least we know the salon is still up and running, despite Karen being indisposed for a time. So from there, I mentioned earlier Danny left a voicemail for Karen. So Aaron actually goes into Karen's room to try to talk with, her, and he has the baby in his arms, and Karen is just looking in the other direction and won't really address him. And he says, like, look, I know you're going through it, but you have people around you who love you and support you, and I need you. Faith needs you. And then she mentions how she's not meant to be a mother, and Aaron, the look on his face is just like, oh my gosh, she's really closed off. So eventually, Karen does come out of the room. And actually, if I remember correctly, right after Miss Lisa left to go to the grocery store, that's when Karen's like, "Mama," and then Aaron looks around like, "Oh no, she's gone." So that's when he goes to the room, but to no avail. Now, eventually, Karen does step out of her room, and she's like, "I just came to get some water." So it's good to see her up. That's something. And Aaron mentions how, oh well, there is none in the fridge, and your mom went to the grocery store, but I got some in my car. I can just run and get it. And as he quietly closed the door, because it's like, yeah, I just put the baby to sleep. That's when the baby wakes up. Okay, yeah, I know people are dressing. Okay, that does not look like some infant. That looks like a several-month-old baby. I don't care. She's cute. Whatever. So Karen's like, no. And she's like freaking out because she has like an inner moment of turmoil. And look, yes, I'm one of those people, obviously, who addresses the fact like, wow, okay, but if it was Zach's baby that was still here instead of Aaron's, would she still be acting this way? But they're really, I don't know. On some level, I feel like, and I always said, even if the baby that passed away was Aaron's instead of Zach's, I'm not going to act like Karen still wouldn't be having some sort of depression and whatnot, but you can just really tell there's a mixture of failure as a mom and seemingly regret over the whole, this is not how I wanted things to turn out. And yet, this is how life is, aka the new normal. Or, excuse me, well, no, that's next week's episode. Well, no, Miss Lisa did say the new normal last week, so yeah. And this is her life now. No more Zach. No more drama, unless she tries to infuse some. But she's, well, stuck with the baby that she wanted to have, but not with the man she wanted. And this is it. So she runs back to her room. And then the final scene to talk about is Zach at the house eating that takeout or the food delivery that Fatima ordered, and he's drinking. And I'm just like, Lord, I hope he doesn't, start drinking a lot, and then he ends up taking it out on Fatima or something. But essentially, he's having, a talk to himself about loss and the fact that how do you deal with losing something that you didn't even have in the first place? So what now? What, man up? I'm sick of manning up. So I gotta admit, though, it was funny how we transitioned from him having this serious emotional scene to playing video games and yelling at the screen. And that's such a guy thing to do. Hey, is how you stress relieve outside of the gym, so to speak. So then that's when there's a knock on the door, and it's Danny who came to see him. And hey, I love seeing, Danny coming over again. And also, I just love the fact that people haven't forgotten about Zach. Obviously they're all worried about Karen, but I just love how this episode, as well as the earlier ones, are addressing the fact that Karen was not the only one impacted by what happened. Aaron was, and Zach was. So I just love how everybody's checking on each other. So, Danny comes by and, she's upset about her issues with Tony, but she came by with some weed. A very good callback to season 1, because if I remember correctly, the last time Zach had a hit of what Danny had, didn't he end up high in the bathtub with a cowboy hat and a rubber ducky? And he went in on how Karen talked smack about Danny behind her back. I think that's what happened. But either way, I love how Danny is reassuring Zach that it's not your fault. Because I was doing too much and I upset her. That's not, no, don't, you're not going to, I'm not going to let you dig yourself deeper into this pit of despair. It's not your fault about what happened. And then she does mention the Jonas situation and how that changed her. And how she's still here despite what she went through with, rodeo, and the ultimatum engagement, or her current man and his ex-wife and the two troll crumb snatching twin kids, and now that man is unemployed and whatnot. So she's there to encourage Zach, and also, you messed up with Fatima before, but don't mess up again. You get a fresh start with her and that baby you have on the way. So I just love how these two still have their bond. And I don't know the extent of Tyler Perry's involvement with the writing of season 9. But if it's true that he went in there to course correct him and the other writers, you are doing a fantastic job. Okay? I'm still pissed about Jasmine, but hey, this episode, I tip my hat. So with that being said, folks, I believe that is it. That is it. I don't know if I'm doing a live stream. I might do it tonight if I'm awake. I don't know. To make up for not doing one last night. But bravo. Fantastic episode. All right. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.